Hey guys, it's Sheila, and today I want to tell you about the quite interesting time I had flying to furcon 2017. Also, you might notice these paws don't match Sheila. These are actually Pompano's paws, but Sheila's in the wash, so I decided just to wear these. Getting into the story. Now, this did happen quite a few years ago, but it was such an interesting story that when I was trying to decide what video to make for you guys, I thought, I have to tell this. I've told it to a couple friends, but I've never made a video about it. Alright, let me set the scene for you. I decided that for furcon 2017, which was my first furcon, that I wanted to fly. Because I didn't really feel like making the 8+ hour drive, and the flight was pretty cheap. So, I'm from East Tennessee, but the airport that's in my city isn't the biggest, and flights are often more expensive from there if you're not flying Allegiant Airlines, which did not go to Pittsburgh or anywhere near it at the time. So I decided to fly out of Atlanta, which generally has cheaper flights. And Atlanta's only 3 hours away from me, so it didn't feel like a huge deal to drive 3 hours there if I was going to save a couple $100 on a flight. Now, here's the thing. I didn't fly directly into Pittsburgh. I flew into Cleveland's airport in Ohio because I was going to visit my friend Cody the day before furcon, and then we would road trip from their house in northern Ohio to furcon, which is only 2.5 hours away. So it was time to pack my bags and head to the airport. So when you fly to a furcon, you have to pack a little bit different than you would if you were just going on a regular trip, because your head a lot of times ends up being your carry-on or personal item. So sometimes for furcons you have to have a checked bag to fit all of your clothes, bodysuits, and other personal items. So I had a big duffel bag that could roll like a suitcase. So I had that for my checked bag with all of my other fursuit parts and personal things. And then I had Sheila's head, which was a different version of this head, so it looked a little different. I will insert the picture here. For those of you who remember that head, it was quite a while ago. But, so she was in a duffel bag, and then I had a backpack with my laptop and toiletries and things like that. So my flight from Atlanta to Cleveland was actually a rather early flight. I think it was around 7:30 in the morning, and because I didn't want to drive from my house all the way to Atlanta in the middle of the night, I decided I would get there a day early and stay with my aunt who lives in Johns Creek, which is a suburb in Atlanta. So it was about 45 minutes from her house to the airport, and because I was needing to get to the airport around 5 in the morning, I didn't want to make her drive me. So I took an Uber to the MARTA station, which is basically a train system in Atlanta that gets you to major points in the city. So I get on the MARTA and I go straight to the airport, which is about a 30-minute train ride. And I have a tendency to get really, really car sick. But I had never really had any problems on trains before, so I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I didn't bring Dramamine with me because I don't get sick on planes, so I didn't think that the train was going to be any different. I also did not eat that morning, so the combination of not eating and the stop and starting of the train, I got violently sick. Now luckily I did not throw up, but I almost did a couple times, and throwing up on a train without a bathroom, you know, wouldn't have been very good. But luckily I didn't throw up. So that was the first little hiccup in my trip. But it gets worse. So I finally make it to the airport. I get all of my things and head to the connector from the MARTA station to the airport. I go through the doors and it leads you into this very, very large, very long hallway, atrium type thing with all of the places to check your bags for different airlines. Now, I guess from where the MARTA station door is to the main part of the airport heading towards TSA, I could not find the place to drop off my bags. So I flew with Spirit Airlines on this trip. Now, if you have ever flown Spirit Airlines, it's not the best airline, but it's relatively cheap, and I've never had any problems with them, so I booked Spirit Airlines. But I could not, for the life of me, find the place to drop off checked bags. I have since been to the Atlanta airport, and it's not, if I remember correctly, it's not near where they drop off, like the MARTA station doors enter the airport. Now, in hindsight, I could have looked a little bit harder, but I was on a time crunch and I wanted to make sure that I got to my gate in time. And if you have ever flown or been in the Atlanta airport, it is massive. It is, if I remember correctly, one of the biggest, if not the biggest airport, or at least the busiest airport in the United States. This thing is huge. There's a train inside the airport to get you to the different terminals. And because of that, it adds extra time. So, and there's like different levels and escalators and hallways you have to walk down. It's ridiculous. So I knew that I was gonna have to spend extra time to get to my terminal. And my flight was in about an hour and a half or so I knew I had time, but I was panicking because I couldn't find this stupid place to drop off your bags for Spirit. So I go towards TSA, and along the way, I'm asking different people that work in the airport where this thing was, and nobody knew. So eventually, I go just through TSA with my giant, oversized duffel bag with my clothes in it, but it was too big for the scanner because it's a giant duffel bag. So instead of having me go through that TSA checkpoint, a TSA officer walked me to a different checkpoint with a bigger scanner. It still wasn't big enough. So they scanned the rest of my stuff, like my backpack and Sheila's head, and just send me on my way. And I'm worried at this point because my bag still needs to get on the plane, in the cargo hold of the plane. But how am I supposed to do that? I've already gone through TSA. You can't walk back through. You can't go back. Once you go through, you're through. I eventually make it to my gate, and I'm pleading with the staff at the desk, asking, please, can this go on the plane somehow? Can somebody take it to the place where they put things in the cargo of the plane? And they were so nice and allowed me to put it with the strollers and wheelchairs that they put off to the side on the plane. So that part of the story was more a nuisance than anything, but it wasn't anything super dramatic. So I get on my plane, I go to my friend, spend the day there, and the next day we drive to Anthrocon. Now, Anthrocon was an absolutely amazing con, but that's for another video. This video is all about my airport experience getting to and from Anthrocon. Now, the con has ended, and we have driven back to my friend's house in Ohio. And I believe it was the following Tuesday. They drive me to the Cleveland airport, say goodbye, and I'm on my way. Now, the Cleveland airport isn't very big. It's a relatively small airport, if I remember correctly. So I didn't have any trouble finding where to check my bag this time. I was able to check it, and everything was fine. Or so I thought. So I get to TSA, and they have me put my bags on the scanner, backpack, duffel bag, all's well. Now, keep in mind, Sheila's head is in this duffel bag. She goes through the scanner, and all of a sudden, alarms start going off. And the TSA person pulls the bag out, and two other TSA officers come up to me, and I get arm locked on either side. So I'm like this, with people on either side of me. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what the hell is happening? I'm just an 18-year-old trying to get back from a furry con. Please don't arrest me. Like, what's happening? So I get patted down 3 separate times by 3 different officers. And once they are done patting me down, I'm still in arm locks, and the lady she opens the bag, grabs Sheila by her hair, like up here, yanks her out, and asks me what it is. And I say, oh, I just got back from a convention, it's a costume, like blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, whatever. She takes a swab and swabs like in her mouth, around her face, inside her head, and things like that, and tests it for explosive residue. Now, when I was sitting here having this happen to me, it made me think of a story that Jeff Dunham told in one of his specials many years back, where the same thing happened to him with one of his puppets, Peanut, I believe it was. They swabbed him for explosive residue, just like they did to me. Now, obviously, Sheila didn't have explosive residue on her, my best guess is that it might have had something to do with the fursuit spray that I had used. Maybe that the chemicals set off the alarm, but the only chemicals in it are fragrance and rubbing alcohol. So I don't know if the system got that confused or what. I have no idea what even set off the alarm in the first place, but it did. So they clear me, I'm released. I was never like detained like in a back room or anything, but they release me, they allow me to pack Sheila the way that I want, and I'm on my way. Now, I still have another hour or so till my flight, so I go to a bar and grill kind of thing, because all the fast food places were before TSA, so this is the only place to get a bite to eat. So I order a $20 grilled chicken sandwich, and I call my mom, and I'm crying to her about what just happened. Because I'm so overwhelmed, because this just happened to me, and I already had to deal with like airport garbage before. So, all in all, flying to cons as a fursuiter can be rather difficult. Now, I have flown with suits since then, and I haven't had a problem. And last year, I flew to Boston for A&E 2020 with 2 heads and 2 full body suits packed in a bag. I didn't have any issues with those. So maybe it's just that particular airport had different policies. I don't know. I have no idea what happened, and I look extra hard for the checked bag place now. So, oh gosh, I don't know if there's a lesson from this video. Just make sure there's nothing sketchy in your bag or something that could be perceived as such. And if you have a checked bag, really do everything in your power to find the place where you're supposed to check your bag with your airline. I didn't really look that hard, but also nobody in the airport knew where I was supposed to go anyways, so I guess it's everyone's fault, really. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope to keep making videos for you in the future. And if you have any video suggestions, please put them in the comments below, and I'd be happy to read them. Until next time, it's been Sheila. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.